Now, Governor Walz says, I knew nothing about this, man. It's news to me. And he said, in fact, I'm taking some bold steps. He said, at first, I'm not going to run for a third term. I guess he needs more time. Hope he uses the time to prepare his defense, because he's got a lot to defend here. He knew what was going on. You know, when you argue with a fool, you just prove there are two. And I consider Congresswoman Omar, Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez, Congresswoman Tlaib, Congresswoman Presley, I think is her name. They call themselves the Squad. I consider.
Welcome back, everyone. Today's clip is exactly why Senator John Kennedy has become one of the most effective voices in Washington. While most politicians hide behind rehearsed talking points, Kennedy cuts straight through the noise with blunt honesty and zero patience for nonsense. His style may sound folksy, but don't be fooled. Every word lands with precision. In the first clip, Kennedy takes direct aim at members of the so-called Squad, including Ilhan Omar and AOC, calling out their constant contempt for the country that elevated them to power. But the second clip is where things really escalate. Kennedy turns his focus to Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and a staggering fraud scandal that unfolded under his leadership. Millions of taxpayer dollars vanished while state officials claimed ignorance. Walz insists he had no idea what was happening. Kennedy isn't buying that excuse, and neither should anyone else. Let's break down exactly why these moments matter.
Most powerful fictitious company, run mostly by people of Somali ancestry, sent an email to the Minnesota state government. And they said that the state agency that was failing to promptly approve new applications and give us new money from, quote, minority-owned businesses, close quote, was going to result in a lawsuit featuring accusations of racism that would be sprawled across the news. If you don't give us our money, we're going to call you racist. It did it. It's all come out in evidence at trial. In fact, a lady by the name of Kesa Megan, she's one of the good guys. She is a Somali American who used to work as a fraud investigator in the Attorney General's office, who, by the way, was just as involved as Governor Walz in turning a blind eye to all this. She says, and she said it in the newspaper, she said that elected officials, and particularly those who are part of the state's Democratic-led administration, were reluctant to take more assertive action in response to the allegations. Why? Here's her quote. There is a perception that forcefully tackling this issue might cause political backlash from the Somali community. which is a core voting bloc for Democrats. And she is among the few among many prominent figures in the Somali community who is speaking out against the fraud.
What makes Kennedy's remarks so powerful is how clearly he exposes the contradiction at the heart of the far left. He points out that figures like Omar and AOC endlessly condemn America, its history, its institutions, its values, yet enjoy positions of power made possible by that very system. Kennedy's argument is simple and devastating. You cannot rebuild a nation if you fundamentally despise it. Calling that mindset foolish isn't name-calling. It's an honest assessment. But the real alarm bell comes when Kennedy shifts to Governor Tim Walz. We're not talking about small mistakes here. We're talking about massive fraud involving money intended to feed children. Instead, it ended up in the hands of criminals running sham operations. Walz's response. He claims he didn't know. That excuse falls apart instantly. If a governor is unaware that hundreds of millions of dollars are being drained from state programs, that's not innocence, that's failure. Kennedy highlighted the most disturbing detail of all. State officials allegedly continued sending money even after warning signs were obvious, simply because the fraudsters threatened to accuse them of racism. Rather than enforce the law, Walz's administration folded under pressure, choosing optics over accountability. That's not compassion, it's cowardice. Kennedy did what the media refuses to do. He exposed a leadership culture driven by fear, political correctness, and surrender. This isn't about being nice. It's about responsibility. And when leaders abandon that responsibility, taxpayers pay the price. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you believe Walz was clueless, or did he deliberately look away? Make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more straight talk.